Test. Test. Hey guys, thanks for jumping on today. Sorry, I had a little technical difficulty. My recording software was saying that it was streaming, but the YouTube software that I use to broadcast it was offline for some reason. So I just restarted everything. Seems to be going okay. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I'm sure you can, but just to double check. So we're going to get started here real quick. And I'm going to start by just running the news by you and having a quick discussion on that. So you can see all the FOMC action that happened here yesterday, some late in the day Australian news, and then Thursday, which is today. I'll just do a refresh on this. You can see all of this US dollar news here as well too. Core retail sales, etc., etc. And then the euro, we had an ECB press conference, and I'll talk about the euro in a minute because it really moved today. And then Friday, we've got a whole bunch of medium impact news events, which should push the market in its current intended direction as well too. So lots of good stuff happening there. Might be able to finish this week off strong. Now, in terms of trading, I didn't really trade at all this week. I took one tiny trade this morning at London Open, and I can show you that here in a minute. You know what? I just got to clear up some stuff on my charts. If you give me 30 seconds. Okay. Oh, jeez. One of those mornings this morning. Woke up today and I been suffering from allergies since yesterday, and I normally don't have any issues with allergies. And for whatever reason, we had an interesting spring this year. We had such a long, bad, just a ridiculous winter. I don't remember a winter that long in quite a long time. And it basically went from winter to summer up here where I live. And all of the trees got really confused, and all the pollen trees just started releasing and puking out their pollen pretty much immediately. And anyone who suffered from allergies was like, oh my God, I can't stand this. I was fine. I'll get seasonal allergies, just kind of like hay fever and things like that, just for a week or two while that pollen is going, and it usually happens right around the first week or two of July, and then I'm totally fine. Never get allergies or anything like that before, and anyway, long story short, I was fine, and I was thinking I was going to be good for allergies this year, and then all of a sudden it just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and just hit me like a ton of bricks. And what I find that happens with me is I get very lethargic. for whatever reason, itchy, watery eyes, and sneezing and the whole bit. But I just, for whatever reason, just get super lethargic, and it just kind of hit me yesterday. I was out walking my dog, and I just, yeah, one of those weird things. So anyway, the only reason I mentioned it is because I was killing time here for a second while I was loading up this chart. So anyway, here was the trade that I did. Just one quick trade on the pound dollar. Nothing serious. Price was going into London here. It was opening up through the Asian session, consolidating nicely, starting to run higher, and then I basically just took a long right off of the highs in here. You can see the spread got me in just a pip or two higher right here, and then I exited right at the 134.40 mark. So it was only for about 40 pips. And for the members, I also didn't post this as well, only because just a little over 40 pips I think I got. Basically, the entry was at 133.90. Was the entry. It got me in at 133.92, and my exit was just a little over 40 pips higher, right at the top there. And that's basically all I was doing. I was just trying to get in above these equal highs. You can see the market ran down this week, took all the stops below, and then jacked it back up. Very, very logical level, and I posted this level on the chart here, I think going into FOMC on Tuesday. Those two highs in there, definitely suspect. You can see they came up, just ran it a couple of pips, and then dropped it. And really not a nice, pretty market structure in here for the past, for this whole week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in here. But, price really was just building up orders. Not really going anywhere, and we're going to see what happens here. So, so far, I'm just going to move this guy down here. So far, these lows have failed to get broken. And this is on the cable that I'm analyzing, just so you keep that in mind. But they've just been building up positions. So I think the next move, whether it be higher or whether it be lower, after today's price action, I'm kind of on the under the assumption that they're probably going to be looking for lower, and I've been talking about these levels down here for a very, very long time. These equal lows down here, and I believe that's where their intended target is going to be, and that coincides obviously with the current push higher up to 95 on the US dollar, but you can see I believe that's where they're going to head, and so this whole market structure in here, this whole little pivot and swing was just a retest back up into these areas in here. Very obvious when you're doing it in hindsight, but as they're screaming price up into here, you never know where they're going to stop price, and they just on this one here stopped it pretty much right on the low of that candle right there, and then a nice rejection. But very, very wicky in here. You can see the bodies, especially in these guys in here. Out of the past 2 weeks, there's been more wick than there's been candle. And then they put in today's range today and smashed it down. Now, I'm not going to get too excited until today's close. What I don't want to see this candle right in here, that doji right there, preceded right before another doji. I don't want to see that. I want to see a continuation down and through. I want to see them clear this candle here, and I want to start seeing them pushing lower. So going into Friday, tomorrow's trading, I want to see a continuation to the downside, and that's basically what I'd like. I don't want to see them do any more bloody wicks in here. Like they've really manipulated and worked price. They took all the stops and grabbed all the liquidity above here, and have smashed it down. 1 second, guys. I just gotta close my email here. It's dinging. So I don't want to see them push. I don't want to see a doji and then reverse and then run higher. I'd like this to be the final push down here. And honestly, if you look at it, so they came down, they reversed price, slight retracement, back up to a logical low in here, which would act as resistance, and then they started pulling the market down, and really a lot of these wicks, all that, and especially today, that was just anybody who was short in here, they'd be running their stops tight above these old daily highs, and then that was just a run back above to grab those stops, and then a rejection lower, and they did it very, very quickly. Now typically the telltale sign when they do this, and they don't give you a chance to get in to the market. So, you know, like I got a long off in here, right? One quick trade. I got out. That's all I was shooting for. I wasn't shooting any higher. And then you come down here, and anybody thinking this is just a retrace to another breakout, that's where they got smashed. So they get long in here somewhere, and they come up and then drop the market down, and everyone's thinking this candle right here is going to be the one, and then they smash it down, and that's the telltale sign. And then they never let anybody else get in, so they stop everybody out who's going long, and then they never let anyone else get in, go short. It just keeps dropping, unless you just blindly, arbitrarily just, you know, jam a market order in here. I mean, that's fine too. You could certainly maybe get lucky with that, but and then the ultimate goal, I believe, is going to be lower, and this is that sorry, let me get that line on there. Almost the weekly low right here, it's put in. I would imagine it'll probably end up sweeping that here in about the next hour or two. It'll probably make that final push down. And I think the intended target is going to be the lows over here from June 4th. I would imagine that would be the target. I mean, I can't imagine, unless they start pushing this thing higher and they're really building up orders, there's definitely a very big level of support right down in this area right here. And that's a terrible color. Let me get rid of this. There's definitely a very big level of support right in this area right here, and you can see how price has come down. It's consolidated in here, exploded up, come back down, retraded right to that area, exploded back up, and now we're right back down to that area. The only reason I'm not suggesting that, okay, let me put it this way. In terms of probabilities, so you got to go on certain percent bases. I believe it's a higher percent that they'll probably look to pull this lower as opposed to running back up here. Normally, for example, this, you could look at this and say, oh, this is a typical consolidation trade where you would, you know, you'd get long down here, you'd get short in here, and you'd ride this thing out until it finally breaks one way or the other. However, just the simple fact that they've run it down, okay, sorry, they've run this thing up here, they've come back down, taken all of the stops here, you know, under here, and then finally ran them with FOMC yesterday under this low here, then screamed it back up, grabbed all the stops above here, and then we're back down to this trading range down here. And this is just my opinion, I mean, I'm of the opinion that they're probably going to roll this thing over. Now, if price comes all the way back up in here and we don't see, or sorry, if price starts trading all the way up here and, give me this line here. Is it going to give it to me? No. Okay. I'll just get a new one then. If we see price start to break through this level right here, basically this old high, and price starts running back all the way up here, then all they're doing is they're just gathering long positions, and they're going to fail to take out this low here, and then their intended direction is higher. The only reason I think they may want to push it lower is the dollar, and that's it, the U.S. dollar. Now here, let me get out of this one here. This is my demo account. So 95.05, they came down, retraced back, just scooped the lows. Look at this. So the low on this candle here, and this is just on this feed here. Low on that candle, 93.18. Low on this candle, come on, they just took it on this one here, 93.17, and then the low on today's candle is, come on, give it to me, there we go, 93.15. So each time they've come down and revisited these lows, they scooped up the liquidity by 1, and in today's case, 2 pips. And look at this reaction off of there. That's getting somewhere in a big hurry. That's not letting anybody capitalize on the upward movement for today's price, and I think that's sort of signifying an intended direction. Cleared out all of the old highs, so we've been trading in this range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days here. So I'm looking at this basically, this down candle and this swing high from here down to these lows in here. I think that's going to be the target today. They're going to go up, they're going to sweep that, they'll probably come back down into tomorrow's trading, into London. They'll reject a little bit, and then they'll probably tee right off of this level here, potentially, maybe the old high from FOMC, and then they're going to start swinging it higher again. It might get up to 95 this week, more than likely probably next week, but I think that's where they're headed, and that's, again, that's just me personally. I think they've had every opportunity in here to take this thing lower, and they didn't do it. Right? Again, like I say, the past 2 weeks, we've just been sitting sideways, and it doesn't take them, it shouldn't take them very long to do this if they wanted to go south. And all I think they're doing is they're just buying into this push down. Buying, 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 and then accumulating positions. They run prices down one more time, pick up all the sell stops. There's tons of liquidity down here, and then they smash it higher. That's my personal thought. So if we go back over to the pound dollar, you can see that's what's sort of happening. Now, the other thing, too, I want to bring up, so typically where you see consolidation levels in a market structure, you'll see a return back down to those levels and a potential... Oh, my phone's ringing. Sorry, guys. Very unprofessional. Sorry about that. Let me just turn that ringer off. So, where was I? Yeah, so the market trades from consolidation to consolidation, as I was saying, and you can see in here, very significant level in this range. I'll actually pull these guys and use these down, these guys here. You can see, and this is the weekly range, keep in mind. So you can see between 132.80 and 134.40, there's about 140 pips in there. And you can see how many times they've worked that area. Look at in here. Let's see all these wicks in here. Came up, rejected here, and traded through, back through, wick in here a bunch of times. Spent about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks in that range at this period of time. And now we're 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in, about a month time in this range. So again, that's to be expected at these levels. So now what we got to look at, if we're trading down to these levels now, where's the next intended target? I think lower, and again, look at these levels in here, right? Relatively equal lows on the weekly, and I believe I've had those painted out on the chart earlier, and I'll just bring those up here in a second once I get a straight line. If I can get a straight line. There we go. Relatively equal lows in there. I think that's where their intended target is, and I think this is just, again, just building positions up so they can push this thing down. Is really all it is. So, and then once that range completes, then who knows where we go from there. If they want to continue to keep it, drag it lower, or if they plan on reversing it, we'll have to wait and see what happens when the time comes. So that's the pound. Like I said, got off a little trade in here. I didn't make it public to any of our members. It was just kind of, it wasn't even a personal trade. It wasn't a live trade. It was just a demo trade. I just wanted to see if price would complete this trading range up in here. And then basically all that was just a sweep of the weekly range and then a rejection, and away we go. So, and now you can see there they came back up, retested these levels in here, and now they're going to drop. And I think their ultimate goal is to take out these lows in here. So, and again, that just coincides. Oh, here the dollar's going to take that old high right now. See if we can watch this as it happens. So the high here comes in at 94.41, 94.42 for all intents and purposes. And this one here comes in at 94.08 so far, so we'll see if that gets hit. I'm assuming it will here pretty quick. Now I want to talk about the euro real quick. This one saw some serious movement today. So far, 200 pips. Not very often that the euro, or the euro USD, moves more than 150 pips, but today is one of those days. I bet you'd be pretty hard pressed to find a candle that is over 200 pips on the euro in recent months. There's a big one here. That was only 160. Big one here. That was 190. But I don't see another candle here. So obviously some pretty big manipulation happening. There's a big candle. Was that a 380 pip candle? Wow. That's a big candle. Didn't quite get that one there. That's a big one. About half the size of that guy. Did I do that right? What day was that? Wow. Almost a 400 pip candle. All the way back in November 9th, 2016. Or wait, I'm sorry, is that November? Yeah, November 9th. What the hell happened in November 9th of 2016? Anybody remember? I don't recall. Trump got elected. Was that Trump election? When the hell did he get elected? Yeah, that would have been his election. Now that I think about it, I was just for whatever reason I was thinking he just got elected fall of last year, but it was the year before he got elected. That was 2016. He'll be coming up into office already for 2 weeks. I believe that would have been the Trump election. That's what that guy was there. So there you go. Very, very significant today. Again, same idea as the pound dollar. Price came down, screamed down, retraced back up to a logical area, and they did it, tried to do it. And I was talking about this in here for a very long time, actually, for the past week or so. They had come down and they closed off of this candle in here, and I thought for whatever reason they may come up and just close this range in here. There's just about a 15, 20 pip open range from, let's see if I can get this on the chart here. Yeah, see how they pushed price back up in here, and then they just kind of sat and just crouched below these lows in here. And I kind of felt like there was a little bit of area left in there, and there's only not much. There's about 15 pips or so, give or take, just under 15 pips, that I felt like they were going to come up and grab, and they finally did today. And again, same type of thing, right? There's just no opportunity to get in this. They just smashed the market down. And I'm assuming they're going to be heading for, again, these lows down in here, just depending on the move up in here and how powerful this is. I would highly doubt that they get all the way up to 95 today. Highly, highly, highly doubt that. I would personally think maybe a logical area that they would want to potentially run up to maybe would be somewhere in and around here. They may just come in and just sweep this high here, and they could stop somewhere in this blue area. Bit of a larger shaded area. Maybe I can refine it maybe down to this low there, but somewhere in that area I would probably imagine they'll probably stop the algorithm on today, and then they'll probably roll it back over. And what I'd like to see is if they did this, if they come up here and then and this is into tomorrow's trading, sink it back down. I highly doubt we'll get a run all the way back down to here, but if we do, I'd be looking for this to occur into Friday. And again, there's a whole bunch of medium impact news events for Friday, so that'd be perfect condition for them to just have a runner of a day. So that'd be what I'm looking at into tomorrow. Same idea here. Would be a move, depending on where they want to finish it today. Let's say they just come down and sweep, I don't know, maybe this low here today. That would probably be a fairly logical area if they did. Come down, sweep the low, and then I'd like to see them come back. This would be a big, big, deep retrace. I don't know that we'll get it that deep, to be quite honest with you, because that would be like 150 pips. If we did, great, because all of these lows in here, those are going to act, those should, if this is a confirmed downward movement and our intended direction is below here, right, and potentially, you know, these areas in here that I've outlined, if that is the intended direction, I'd like to see a retrace, and then basically all you do is you just get short on the retrace at a logical area, which would be in here, or these levels in here as well too may offer some area of resistance. I think more likely probably going up to this level here. I'll bring down a price tag here. So 117, you know, 25, somewhere in around there to 117, you know, 10 maybe, sort of that 15 pip region. I wish I'd narrow it down, but I won't be able to look at it until it happens. But I've been looking for something like this to occur. Now, the other thing is here, guys, this is a big, big, deep retrace, so price would really have to get moving up here in a big hurry during London, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how likely it is on the euro for that to happen. So if they do want to just keep pushing this US dollar up, and so far it still hasn't cleared that high yet, if they do want to just keep pushing the US dollar up, then we may not get a retrace of this magnitude at all, to be honest with you. So we'll just kind of have to look at that. Let's have a look at the 4-hour, see if there's anything in here. Yeah, like I say, just basically a return to the consolidation areas would be what I'd be looking for. Don't want to get short here, obviously, but we'll see. So let's say they do run this up here, okay? Now, if you start to see price wanting to run through these levels in here and starts getting up into the bodies of these candles, hold off on that short idea, because they may just be, all this market structure may be here, move down, move back up higher, a rejection, back down, just scooping up liquidity down here, and maybe the intended direction is higher. I think we're going to get a run in the dollar before that happens, but if that does happen, we should see a push lower, but just keep that in mind. So I'm not necessarily bullish or bearish on this as of yet. I want to see what the US dollar does. I want to see what it does at this level. I want to see what it closes at today. And this is basically, this is why I don't trade FOMC weeks. I mean, look at this trading in here. Right, Monday opens up. Monday opens up on, and this is on the euro. Basically goes sideways, does nothing, drops down into Tuesday, reverses early London, chops sideways, rejects in New York, runs down, basically does nothing all FOMC. They start to rise it up, and then they scream it back down, scooping all the liquidity out from last Friday, only to run it all the way back up, rejecting above the old highs from last Thursday, and then jam it back down. I mean, like, I was getting tired talking about all that. Like, that is a pretty ugly range. So look, for me personally, I don't. I'll usually sit on the sidelines for FOMC up to, and I did. I didn't take any trades, and we didn't look at anything to position on anything until this day here happened. Until this Wednesday happened. That was what I was waiting for. And then going into Thursday, there was that one obvious area on cable that I saw. And again, I wasn't too inclined to really take anything. It was just more of a demo trade just to see if it would happen. They did it, and then they rejected in fashion. And same thing on the euro. So again, this week it's not like I'm too eager to trade. There's a lot of weeks, you know, during the months that give us good opportunities to trade on, and I'll be honest with you, FOMC weeks aren't high on my list, because you typically get this kind of shit happening. This is ugly. It's very, very difficult to trade, and you can get hurt in a big hurry. Like, look at this. Let's say you were long somewhere up here, and then they just scream price down, you know, 60 pips on here, stop you out, boom, big loss. And then right here, same thing. Let's say you were long here, and let's say, God forbid, that it skipped your your sell, your stop. I've had that happen, where price is running down so quickly and so aggressively that they literally skip over your order because the next order fill, isn't for 20 or 30 pips below. And then your account management equity goes right out the window, and know where you're at. So you got to be very, very careful of those events. But anyway, that's sort of what I was looking at. Anyway, I'm going to see they just scooped the liquidity here from Wednesday's FOMC event. And like I say, I believe these lows are probably going to get tagged out today. I'd like to see it close down. Brief retrace into tomorrow London Open, then I'd look for a continuation lower, only to coincide with the US dollar. Euro GBP, huge rejection on that, and that's why you're seeing that manipulation down on the Euro USD. Nice movement downwards. So we'll see what happens here, if they want to continue that or reject. But whoever trades Euro GBP, you've definitely got your work cut out for you, because this is brutal in there. Look how very, very tight that range is. I mean, that's just a super tight range. Nothing that I would be interested in trading. And the same thing goes with the US CAD, right? I mean, and look at this, right? Look at this wiki price action that just is slowly going nowhere. They have not been able to break these old highs in here since they were back up there in March. They dropped it down, traded softer, just ugly price action. Not interested in this at all right now either. UJ, I hope you didn't trade this week, but if you did, hopefully you took this trade that I was looking at. I told you price would run up to 110.80, and that was on, I think, Tuesday London Open. I had mentioned that, and price was right down in here, Tuesday London Open, when I discussed that. And you can go back to that live video that I did, and you can see the move that had ensued from there. Would have netted you about 80 pips, 80 plus pips. Nice little trade on the week. Again, I hope you didn't take it. I hope you just studied it, but that's sort of where you're looking. Now, again, we see a push higher on the US dollar. We should see a corresponding move up into this area, into this blue shaded area on UJ. So I'm not a big UJ trader. One of my analysts is, and he'll probably talk about this a little bit here and probably send out some signals for all of our members on UJ. So just so you know, you can look at that. Oil, very, very interesting trading on oil. I think we if prices do not start rebounding from here, we could take out these old highs. And I'd be very surprised as well too. That meeting's coming up here in about a week. As I was saying to you, I'm not too interested in trading anything on oil until that meeting, that OPEC meeting, has been done on the 22nd. So I think it's a week today that it comes out on. I'll double check that. Waiting until then, sitting on my hands, not going to be doing anything on oil. Aussie, and I'm going to switch the order of those. Australian dollar, nice bullish movement in here, only to have price fall off since. So they failed to come up into these levels here that I was looking at. So we'll see if they want to rebalance and see how deep they want to take this. If they start sweeping out these lows in here, then we could see further downside. There's a couple of equal lows right underneath price action right here they could want to go for. I'd hope they wouldn't want to go that far down. I think Aussie has been fairly bullish as of late, as you can see. Nice bullish momentum there, and I'd like to see that continue, but this is a pretty deep retrace in here, so we'll see. They may just want to scoop some liquidity in here and then start running it, but if that does happen, we may need to see a rejection in the US dollar for that to occur. So we'll wait and watch for that. And that's about it. Copper, as I was saying, is probably going to trade back down to these levels down in here, and you can see it's starting to do that now. Our sugar trade, I'll just bring that up briefly. Not doing a whole bunch this week. It started out on, where are we, Monday here. Pushed higher, made a high on Tuesday, and so far since Wednesday it's just kind of been trading in the middle of a range. Not doing a whole bunch, still expecting it to go higher. As you can see, they're failing to break this thing lower so far. They're coming down here, and so far this low is holding up, so I want to see that continue to run higher. I believe I've adjusted our stop a little bit higher from break even on this trade, so if you are in this, don't tuck your stop up under here, because I think they could do a quick drop down. Keep it sort of right around the entry, plus or minus, 5 or 10 pips in there. So if it does come back down and it hits your stop, you still wind up profitable, nothing lost on the trade, and we can look to re-enter again once price does its thing. But just don't tuck your stop up real tight on that one, because we could see a brief move down before it starts to run higher again. And ultimately, like I say, I'm looking for these two highs up here to get taken out. So that's where the big zone exists for me. So nat gas, nothing going on there. Bitcoin still getting crushed. We've taken out these interim lows here, as I've been talking about forever, and the next stop is on that train is 5,900 there, so we should probably see that here. I'm hoping this week or next we'll start to see that move down. Ethereum, same thing. All the cryptos, basically, they're all following suit right now. I don't know why I have a US Swissy chart up there. Let me get rid of that. I don't trade the Swissy. Litecoin convincingly crushed all of these lows in here. So we'll see if this rebalances. We'll see how low this wants to go and where it wants to rebalance price at. Ripple. Now I'm calling a bounce on Ripple in here because I think it's a little bit stronger of a cryptocurrency. So I'm going to be watching this and see if these levels in here fail. If price does not break that low, basically this candle low in here, and it stays sort of in this blue area here, Ripple could be a good buy. So I'm just going to be looking at that here going forward, but just to kind of keep you guys up to date on that. And that's really about it. That's kind of all I want to talk about. That's the markets for an interesting FOMC week. And no trades. I'm not looking at picking anything up. You've got my levels that I was looking at. We'll see what happens into London Open tomorrow. I'm definitely not doing anything today. I'm going to wait for price to do its thing, close off the day, see the lows that it runs. And there we go. US dollar finally got that old high there. So I would expect a bit of... I would expect it to cool its jets a little bit, to retrace back lower, and then I'd be looking for price to rebalance sort of right in these areas here. Maybe even off the old highs in here. So we'll see if that happens, and then see if we can't get into a position going into tomorrow. So with that, that's all I got for today. Thanks very much for jumping on and joining me for my rant, and I might do, Dave will be back. He'll be doing a live session tomorrow for sure, and I might even jump on and do a quick London Open during during Friday's trading, just to see if we can't get something and jump on something for Friday. Not that I want to push anything on Friday. This week I'd be totally fine not trading at all this week, to be honest, but I think that we may see some continued movement into Friday, and wouldn't mind getting off a small trade. So, but if not, I'd be happy. That one demo trade for 45 pips. I'm happy with that for the week. I don't need to do anything else. So, again, I didn't do any live trading. I sat on my hands pretty much all week, except for that one little test there yesterday, but that was it. So, anyway, hope you guys have a great Thursday. Thanks very much. I'll post up some links and everything when I get on live again. I'm thinking London Open, which would be about 16 hours from now. Maybe not quite. 14 hours from now or so. I might just jump on, do another quick live session, see if we can't look for a trade. So if I do, I will post a link and give you lots of time to jump on. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.